Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's May 14th, 2018, and it's in the morning. You can hear some of the bird sounds in the background potentially. It's not windy yet, so audio should be okay with this. I decided the last couple of days, the last week or two, I've been working on doing pruning and removing tree guards from many of the small trees and some of the bushes in the food forest. Pepe's full of those tree guards, and I've got to find a spot for them. And today I thought I'd switch things up a bit. I'm going to get on Pepe. I'm sorry. I'm going to get on Bumblebee. That's the mini excavator, and deal with a potential future issue with the Hugelkultur terrace. Now, I've made several videos about the Hugelkultur terrace. It certainly won't be ready this year. Potentially next year. We'll have to see how things go. The Hugelkultur terrace incorporates farmscaping or the edge effect, marginal effect. We're creating habitats and environments, niches for various diverse species that are beneficial to the permaculture food forest as well as the the market garden, the areas in our kitchen gardens. So it's really important that I get this right. And so that's multiple layers of logs buried underground all up in this area behind me. And as you can see, there's some rather large logs on the surface, some spruce logs. A friend of mine who I get the wood chips from, Bud, with his tree service, I think it was a year before last, he said, hey, you want some big logs I got to get rid of? And so I went over with the dump trailer. We cut them to 11 foot, he cut them to 11 foot 11 inches, so it fit in my 12-foot dump trailer. We brought them over, and they were larger in diameter than I thought they were when I spoke with them, but so I put them along the front edge. And as I've thought about it, I've worried about them rolling into the soil collecting canal system in the future. Now, they've created fantastic habitat for frogs and turtles and dragonflies, damselflies, toads, and the various fish species here as well. And it's been fantastic. But the other day I decided, well, I think what I'm going to do, since I've got another place that I'm working on along the fence that I've mentioned before, that I'm building a hugelkultur raised margin, similar to the margins that I've put around here in the past, but I've never really filmed the whole process. So I thought I'd show you a little bit. So I've got a GoPro camera strapped to my chest. We'll see how well. This is a GoPro Hero 5 I've had for a couple of years, or at least 1 year. I can't recall right now. I had it strapped to my chest when I was on Bumblebee, the mini excavator, and it really didn't show, the perspective from being in the operator position using the mini excavator. And recently I had a question via email from Dave M., who's going to be coming and spending a few hours this coming weekend with me. He's interested in getting some experience, exposure to homesteaders and all. And he asked, geez, what piece of equipment for contouring property? And I need to know more specifics in order to really give a good answer. And I always want to refer people to the Keyline Design, and I'll try and remember to put a link up there in the upper right hand corner. Hi, Namaste. To that. And it's about to that video. It's about design. It's about the scale of permanence. How important it is to pick the right piece of property. And then once you've got the right piece of property, the equipment to develop that into your sanctuary, your homestead, your place of serenity is something. This is a big gravel bed, this whole area. And that's what the two neighbors are big, large gravel beds, and there's traditional farmers around here as well. But this was all young forest, very, very young forest, initially right up to the road, and it's taken me years to get to this point. But anyways, what I'm going to do today, and I'm just rambling on here, I'm going to be taking some of these logs, taking them over to the fence and burying them, and then some of the rocks from the rock pile that you've seen by pond 2, I'm going to take those and create a marginal effect along here, because I really want things that are going to be stable along the edge so that they aren't easily going to break down and fall into the canal system. Since it is it's both a soil harvesting canal system, and it's a place where it's a habitat for so many different species. So without any further ado, we'll see if this GoPro view from Bumblebee works out, and see how the day progresses. Every day is an adventure. I never know how things are actually going to turn out. So here we go. Hey folks, well, I'm back. Thea and I are here. Say hi, Thea.
Hi everybody.
So Thea's back there. Hopefully the exposure isn't too bad right now. We just got finished with lunch, and just before having lunch, I did the first part of moving all the logs from over here. Not all of the logs are gone yet. There's a couple more I'll probably bring over there, and we'll go over in the location by the fence where the Hugelkultur apparatus is being developed. So here we are along the fence here on the property side, and you can see I basically dig in a trench and start setting the logs next to each other. I'll fit some of these rocks that are along the edge here in between a lot of these as time goes on. Often I'll use brush in between the big logs as well. And so I'll have some more logs that I've got to pick up from the area, bring over in here and deposit as well. I don't want too much water to accumulate. You can see there's some water starting to accumulate right there. And the surface of this area, although it's been built up gradually, I've had a Hugelkultur mound built all along this edge, but it has broken down over the years. And I've been gradually building it up again with wood chips down here. But you can see as the materials have broken down, you can see some of the limbs down in there. Let's see, can you see that? So down in there, you may be able to see some of the logs along in there that have, as the soil is broken down and gone around, and there's branches and logs in there. And this is, well, that's a 6-foot fence, and there's about 5 foot exposed now. So it's broken down to about 1 foot where it was initially put in at about 3 feet. So what I've done over the last couple of years, I've adapted it to a different system of Hugelkultur than when I first did it. Initially, when I first started doing Hugelkultur, what I would do is stack the logs. Either I might scrape away the sod and the topsoil, a little bit of the subsoil, but I'd never go all the way down to the gravel, with the exception of where the Hugelkultur pits are. And I'll make sure that there's a link in the upper right hand corner to the Hugelkultur pits video explaining that. But after setting up so many of the different Hugelkultur systems that I've done over time, I've realized that trimming the logs, like these ones are trimmed behind me here, so that the limbs are cut off, and then laying the limbs alongside of them, putting the rocks in there as well. It's usually really bony ground. This area here is in pretty good shape. That really helps an awful lot. So these will be, more logs will be put in here, some of the branches will be put in here. A lot of this soil is going to be put right back down into the hole as well. So there's several stages to doing this. I don't like leaving the holes open for very long, so I'll be getting more material to put into here in the next couple of days and then covering it up. And then branches and more logs will go, smaller diameter logs, something 4 to 6 inches in diameter, will go on top of this soil, and then wood chips will go on top of that as well, and brush. So that'll be the system. And it really takes a long time for this to happen, but this will build out this whole area. And I'll talk in a future video about how I'm making this the slope much less pronounced, and creating more of a of a water catchment system, because by berming up this edge of the along the fence here, I can direct the water as it comes down on this property and direct it back into Pond 5. So that's my ultimate goal, and it'll bypass where the Gothic high tunnel, which is will be placed just on the other side of the fence behind you, and that will add more moisture to that area as well. And I'll do another video on the wood chips. If there is an interest in learning more about the equipment that I utilize, the old tractor, which I call Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, the mini excavator, the snowblower, the Mahindra, and those sorts of things, or the BCS tractor that I use for prepping the beds with. If there are, ask questions, leave comments, let me know what you're interested in with respect to that. Each piece of equipment serves very specific functions, and they're very much adaptable to meet many different needs as well. But the selection of the appropriate equipment is really based on what your climate, your topography, the soil it is, and certainly what your goals are, what you hope to do over time. And I really had no idea that I'd ever be putting in Hugelkultur systems, you know, back in the 70s when I first started on this property. So what's going to follow now is some real-time, first person in the seat of the mini excavator, and then some time-lapse, which moves very quickly. So if you found this interesting, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, hit that bell button if you want to be notified when I post another video, and ask questions, leave comments. Thanks so much for watching, folks, and have a great day. Bye-bye now.